Welcome to Pink Blade. Here, we don't just watch stories, we step inside them. Today, we're diving deep into Bridgerton Season 2, Episode 7.
Harmony.
Harmony, which, it has to be the most aggressively ironic title in the entire series.
It's almost a joke, isn't it?
It really is, because if you have seen this episode, you know that there is absolutely zero harmony to be found anywhere in Mayfair. It's chaos, it's messy, and more than anything, it's painfully silent.
It's the silence after a crash. That's what it feels like. We are in the immediate, devastating aftermath of the wedding that wasn't.
Right. The wedding of the season didn't just fail, it detonated. Edwina ran out, the queen was publicly humiliated, and Anthony and Kate were caught having that moment in the chapel.
And now, as you say, we have to deal with the social hangover.
And it is a brutal one. You know, this episode does something really interesting right off the bat. It feels like it completely shifts the genre on us. We've been in this romantic comedy of errors, and suddenly we are in a psychological drama about isolation.
It's almost a survival horror for the high society set.
It is. I was reading some notes on the visual blocking for this episode, specifically for that promenade scene at the very beginning. And normally, the promenade is this vibrant, colorful parade of gossip and courtship.
It's where you go to see and be seen.
Exactly. But here, it's weaponized.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it. There's an essay we looked at called The Architecture of Discord, and it analyzes how the background actors were specifically directed in that scene. It's fascinating.
Tell me.
Well, usually extras are just told to create a bustle, a sense of life, mingle. But here, they were directed to create a wall, a human wall.
It's spatial violence. I noticed that. When the Bridgertons and the Sharmas step onto that path, the crowd doesn't just, ignore them. They physically close ranks. You see these tight little circles of parasols and shoulders turning inward. It creates this claustrophobic tunnel that our families have to walk through.
It turns the park, which is usually the symbol of freedom and openness and courtship, into a prison yard.
And the silence is so heavy. You mentioned the architecture of discord, and one of the key points it makes is about Lady Danbury.
Oh, poor Lady Danbury. This was genuinely shocking to watch.
She is the bulletproof vest of the ton. She walks with that cane, and everyone parts like the Red Sea. But here,
she sees Lord Chose, someone she clearly knows well. There's a history there. And she gives him a very slight, polite nod.
And he cuts her dead. He looks right through her as if she's a ghost.
That's the moment the stakes have fundamentally shifted. If Lady Danbury's getting the cold shoulder, then the Bridgertons are, for all intents and purposes, radioactive.
It signals a total collapse of the social safety net. You have to remember, the ton operates on a currency, and that currency is reputation.
Absolutely.
So by treating the Bridgertons and the Sharmas like a contagion, the rest of the society is just protecting its own value. If you associate with the fallen, you fall yourself.
It's brutal, but it sets up the emotional stakes for our two leads just perfectly. Let's start with Anthony, because the Viscount is, he is unraveling.
He is manically unraveling. Anthony is the architect of this entire disaster. He built this house of cards, piece by painful piece, and now it has collapsed on top of everyone he loves.
But what's so tragic about Anthony in this episode is his response mechanism. It's so telling.
He goes into hyper-duty mode.
Exactly. He sees the ruin that he caused by following his heart, or more accurately, by failing to manage his heart, and his logic brain just screams, I must double down on duty to fix this.
He thinks he can outwork the scandal. He's trying to organize this joint ball, trying to force the families to promenade together like nothing's wrong.
He thinks if he just performs the role of the Viscount hard enough, with enough conviction, reality will eventually bend to his will.
It is so painful to watch because he looks utterly exhausted. He has those dark circles under his eyes. He's snappy with everyone.
And then you have Kate, and her reaction is the complete opposite. If Anthony is manic, Kate is catatonic.
She's experiencing a total identity collapse. You have to remember, Kate Sharma's entire existence, her self-worth, her daily routine, it has all been built around one single mission statement. I am the guardian of Edwina.
And Edwina has fired her.
Worse than fired her. Edwina has rejected the entire premise of Kate's sacrifice. That line, you didn't do this for me, you did this for you, it just destroys the entire foundation of Kate's life.
So Kate is walking around this episode like a ghost because she genuinely doesn't know who she is if she isn't the martyr.
It's a true identity break. She's just been hollowed out.
And as if that weren't enough misery for one family, we have to talk about Eloise.
Oh, yes. Because while the main couples are dealing with the emotional fallout of the wedding, Elias is facing a literal direct threat from the crown.
The stakes for Eloise have never, ever been higher. The queen is on a warpath. The wedding failed on her watch in her palace. She needs a scapegoat, and she needs one now.
And thanks to Eloise's little visits to those political rallies.
Which, to be fair, was just Eloise trying to be intellectual and expand her mind.
Of course. But to the queen, it looks like sedition. It looks like conspiracy.
Exactly. The queen now suspects Eloise is Lady Whistledown. And the ultimatum she gives is terrifying. It's not just, I'll ruin you socially. It's, ally with the crown, work for me to unmask Whistledown or I will destroy your entire family.
So the Bridgertons are facing social exile from their peers because of the wedding and existential destruction from the monarch because of Whistledown. It is an absolute pressure cooker.
And that is precisely why Harmony works so well as a turning point for the season. Because all the standard rules of Bridgerton, the polite manners, the grand balls, the witty conversation, they don't work anymore.
The rulebook has failed. They try the promenade. Total fail. They try to host a ball to smooth things over. We'll get to that, but
yeah,
huge fail.
And that failure is the catalyst. Because they can no longer act their way back into society's good graces, the characters are finally forced to stop reacting to social expectations and start reacting to each other.
The artifice is stripped away.
Completely. And I think this episode is also crucial for dismantling the idea that Anthony's male privilege can protect him from everything. Usually in these period dramas, the woman gets ruined and the man just goes off to his club.
Right. A rake's reputation usually just enhances his standing. But not here.
Not here. The Ton is punishing Anthony just as harshly as the women. He walks into a room and the temperature drops 10 degrees. His title is not a shield anymore.
There's that incredible scene where he goes to seek out Benedict. Anthony is desperate for a strategy, for a fix, and he finds Benedict at the Art Academy.
And Benedict is absolutely sloshed.
He is having the time of his life. He's at a party, drinking wine from the bottle, completely unbothered by the family's ruin.
And Anthony, who's usually the one lecturing Benedict about responsibility, is actually there to ask for help. It's a total role reversal.
He asks him, what is the point of duty? He's questioning his entire worldview.
And Benedict, in his drunken wisdom, offers him a genuine perspective shift. He basically tells Anthony that maybe the problem isn't the scandal itself, but Anthony's obsession with controlling it.
Which brings us back to the irony of the title Harmony. The whole narrative is moving away from this frantic, duty-bound pursuit of social peace toward what you might call a scorched earth transition into scandal.
Because true harmony is impossible under the current lies. The entire structure has to break for the truth to finally emerge. And oh boy, does it break.
Let's get into the scenes, because we have 3 major set pieces in this episode that really define the emotional arc. We start with the sacred, the Haldi ceremony.
This was such a beautiful, quiet, and deeply sad moment. We are with the Sharma women, Mary, Kate, and Edwina. They are in their rooms mixing the turmeric paste.
Now, for those who might not know, Haldi is a traditional pre-wedding ritual in Hindu culture, and I did a bit of reading on this to really understand the layers here. The turmeric paste is applied to the bride and groom to bless them, but it's also about purification, isn't it?
Yes, it has antiseptic properties, so it's about cleansing the skin, warding off the evil eye, and preparing the body for the sacred union of marriage. It's meant to be a moment of joy and family and community.
But the context here is just crushing. There is no wedding. The wedding is canceled. The union has been exposed as a lie.
That's the tragedy of it. They are performing this ritual for a marriage that has spiritually disintegrated, but they're doing it anyway. And you have to ask why.
Because it's the only way they know how to be a family right now. It's a familiar ritual in the midst of chaos.
And the music here, the detail of the music is just perfect. Did you catch the track playing in the background?
I did. It's an orchestral cover of the title track from Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham.
Which is, it's the Bollywood family drama.
It's iconic. It's such a massive, deliberate nod to the Disney fans in the audience. And that movie is all about family duty, estranged parents, misunderstandings, the pain of separation.
Using that specific song here emphasizes that the stakes aren't just about a marriage license for Edwina, it's about the very fabric of the Sharma family bond.
And watching them apply the turmeric paste to each other. There was a quote from Simone Ashley, who plays Kate, where she said that filming this scene felt incredibly nostalgic for her. She said it reminded her of her own cultural rituals and felt very real.
It highlights the closeness that is currently being dismantled by secrets. The irony is just heartbreaking. They are performing a ritual of purification for Edwina, but the secrets Kate has kept have already stained their relationship beyond repair.
It's a moment of profound intimacy that stands in stark contrast to the next major scene, the empty ballroom.
From the sacred to the joy, or at least the attempt at it.
So Anthony's grand plan, his fix, is this ball. The Harmony Ball, let's call it. The Bridgertons go all out. The set decoration is just insane. There are flowers everywhere, hundreds of candles lit. The musicians are all tuned up and ready to go.
And nobody comes.
Not a single soul. It is the ultimate social humiliation.
We talked about the promenade being cold, but this is a vacuum. An opulent, gorgeous, flower-filled room that is completely and utterly empty.
Visually, it's stunning. The directors really emphasized the vastness of that space to make the family look so small and so isolated within it. It's like that high school party nightmare scenario, but on a national aristocratic scale.
It's awful. But this is where we see the new Anthony begin to emerge. The old Anthony, the Anthony of episode 1, would have raged.
Oh, he would have flipped a table.
Yeah.
He would have stormed off to his study to drink brandy and blame Benedict for something.
Or he would have blamed his mother for the guest list. But he doesn't do that. He looks at his mother, he looks at his siblings, and he remembers Benedict's advice. And he decides to pivot. He says, we are going to dance.
He invites the Sharmas, who are the only guests present. He calls down the younger kids, Hyacinth and Gregory.
And this is the moment that transforms everything. It goes from public humiliation to a moment of private healing. And look at the dance they choose. It's not a formal waltz.
No, it's a country dance. I noticed that specifically. It's bouncy. It involves switching partners. It's fun.
It's unencumbered. The choreography is joyful. It is the exact opposite of the stiff, performative balls we've seen all season, where everyone is constantly watching everyone else. Here, for the first time, nobody is watching, so they can finally just be.
I have to shout out the moment with Anthony and Hyacinth. Seeing the Viscount, this famously serious and burdened man, just joyfully twirling his little sister around.
That is the sweet fatherly side of his character that we so rarely get to see. We know he had to step up when Edmund died, but we usually only see the burden of that. Here, we see the love. He's actively protecting his family from the sadness of that empty room by filling it with his own energy and joy.
And Kate is watching him the entire time.
She is mesmerized. She cannot take her eyes off of him.
I honestly think this is the moment. I think this is where she falls completely in love with the man, not just with the passion or the banter or the illicit attraction. She sees him being a father figure, being a good son, making a complete fool of himself to make his mother smile.
Absolutely. It grounds her attraction in something so much deeper and more real. But even within this group dance, the direction is so clever. The partners switch, and Anthony and Kate end up circling each other. The camera's focus narrows.
The empty room disappears.
The family disappears. And for a moment, it is just them.
It's the calm before the storm. Because as lovely and as healing as that dance is, reality comes crashing back in. The new Whiffle-Down pamphlet comes out, exposing Eloise's political activities. The mood just shatters.
And that leads us, inevitably, to the climax of the episode. Scene C, the gazebo.
The gazebo. The scene that launched 1,000 tweets.
The complete and utter collapse of the noble idiot trope for both of them.
Okay, so the setup. Kate is distraught after the ball and the Whistledown revelation. She's run outside into the garden. It's late at night. Anthony finds her there.
And the dialogue here is so critical to understanding their arcs. They start arguing, as they always do. It's their love language. But the tone has shifted. Anthony says, you must stop. And then he says, go inside.
Now, I've seen some people interpret that as him being bossy or controlling, trying to order her around. But looking at the context and Jonathan Bailey's performance, it feels entirely different.
It's not a command of authority. It's a desperate plea for self-preservation. When he says, go inside, what he's really saying is, please save me from myself.
Right.
He is admitting he is on the edge of a cliff. He's telling her, if you stay here, I cannot be a gentleman. I cannot stop myself from doing what I want to do.
He's finally admitting defeat. He's saying, my control is gone. You are my weakness. And Kate's response.
Kate looks him dead in the eye and says, do not stop.
God, that line. The delivery. It gives me chills.
It is seismic. It is Kate seizing her agency. For the entire season, she has done what is right for everyone else. She has denied herself at every turn. Here, for the very first time, she refuses to be ordered, but more importantly, she refuses to deny her own desire. She is choosing herself.
And the music playing over this. How deep is your love?
The Calvin Harris cover, of course.
It fits so perfectly. The lyrics, I want you to breathe me in. It directly parallels that incredible line Anthony delivers earlier in the season about Kate being the very air he breathes.
Which is a direct callback to his father. Violet always said Edmund was the air she breathed. It connects his desire for Kate to the deepest, most foundational, and most terrifying love he has ever known. It's not just lust, it's life-sustaining.
And the physical intimacy that follows. The liberties taken in that gazebo. It represents the first time they truly choose themselves over their families, over their duties, over society. They basically set fire to everything.
It's a complete release. After 7 episodes of almost touches and longing glances and near misses, this is the dam finally breaking.
I want to pivot for a moment to the technical side of this episode because visually it felt different to me. It felt dreamier, somehow softer than the rest of the season.
That is very, very intentional. We looked at some interviews with the cinematographer, Jeffrey Jur, and the lighting department, and they had some massive challenges with this episode, specifically with the historic locations they were filming in.
Right, because they film in real historic houses, not on sets.
Exactly. Scion House, Wilton House. These are, for all intents and purposes, museums. You cannot touch the walls. You absolutely cannot rig lights to the ceiling. If you scratch a 300-year-old fresco, you are in very big trouble.
So how on earth do you light a massive ballroom scene like the Harmony Ball if you can't hang any lights from above?
You use balloons.
Balloons.
Seriously. Helium-filled aerostats. It sounds completely wild, but it's a brilliant, brilliant solution. The gaffer floated these massive illuminated balloons that were tethered to the ground. They just float above the actors, creating this incredibly soft, non-directional top light.
That explains the look. It mimics a cloudy English sky or maybe very soft candlelight, but it wraps around the actors. It makes everyone look, well, it makes them glow.
Jur calls it the lifted look. He said he wanted to avoid that dark, gritty aesthetic you see in a lot of other period dramas. Bridgerton is a romance. It needs to look like a living painting.
And for the gazebo scene specifically.
For the gazebo, they used a mix of practical candles, hundreds of them, and carefully hidden LED supplements to create what's known as bokeh.
Bokeh is that photography term, right? Where the lights in the background turn into those beautiful, blurry circles.
Exactly that. It creates depth and separation. It isolates Kate and Anthony in their own little bubble of warm light, while the rest of the world just falls away into a soft romantic blur. It visually emphasizes that us against the world feeling.
I also read they used the Sony Venice camera specifically for this season.
Yes, and that choice matters a great deal for the skin tones. The Sony Venice is known for its incredible dynamic range and color science. Jur mentioned in an interview that it captures the richness of diverse skin tones right out of the box.
So less time spent in post-production trying to get it right.
Exactly. In a show with a cast as diverse as Bridgerton, making sure the lighting flatters both Simone Ashley's beautiful skin tone and Jonathan Bailey's without constant tweaking is just crucial to the workflow.
Okay, we cannot talk about the visuals without talking about costumes.
Yeah.
We have to discuss the teal theory.
Oh, the teal theory is absolutely essential to understanding this episode. The costume designer, Sophie Canale, was playing a very specific and deliberate color game here.
We know Kate is usually in those deep jewel tones.
Right. Heavy taffetas, deep emeralds, rich purples. The fabric itself is often stiff, which reflects her rigidity, her emotional armor. But as she gets closer to Anthony, her color palette starts to shift. And in this episode, we see them matching.
They're both wearing teal at the ball.
Teal is the color of their compatibility. It's a perfect blend of blue, which is often associated with the Bridgertons, and green, which we've seen on the Sharmas. When they're both wearing it, it's a direct visual signal to the audience. These two are two halves of a whole.
And you can contrast that directly with Edwina.
Edwina is almost always in pastels. Pinks, peaches, pale blues. It represents her innocence, her sweetness. But when you put it next to the deep, saturated teal of Kate and Anthony, it looks young. It lacks weight.
And I love the detail of the jewelry. You notice the Sharma women aren't wearing the standard diamond chokers of the ton.
No, they're wearing their heritage pieces. Rose gold bases, intricate Indian designs. It's a constant, subtle visual reminder that they are outsiders, that they have a history and a culture that is distinct from the world they are so desperately trying to break into.
We touched on the music earlier, but I want to circle back to the pop covers because they are really doing some heavy lifting in the storytelling here.
They're pure narrative subtext. Bridgerton uses these modern pop covers to tell the modern audience how to feel about a period situation. It's a brilliant shortcut.
We had Material Girl by Madonna playing when the Queen was on screen.
Which is cheeky but absolutely perfect. She is the ultimate material girl. It establishes her power, but also her superficiality in judging the diamond of the season.
And Dancing on My Own by Robin.
That plays during a montage where Anthony and Kate are apart, miserable in their own homes. It perfectly reflects their internal state. They're surrounded by family, by people, but emotionally they are completely isolated. It's that awful feeling of being alone in a crowded room.
And then Wrecking Ball.
The Miley Cyrus classic. This is the anthem for the final dance in the empty ballroom.
It's the emotional middle finger to the entire ton, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, the lyrics are all about breaking down walls, about crashing into someone with unstoppable force. By playing this while they're doing a polite country dance in an empty room, the show is screaming at us. They are wrecking the rules. They are wrecking their reputations, and in this moment, they do not care.
It bridges that gap. It tells us that this isn't just a polite dance, it's a deeply rebellious act.
I want to bring in some of the voices of the people who actually made this, because the actors had some really insightful takes on what was going on in their characters' heads.
Jonathan Bailey, who plays Anthony, had a quote about that ballroom dance choreography that I just loved.
Yes. He described the dance as a way of expressing explosive, volcanic sexual urges that they cannot possibly communicate with words.
Volcanic. That is such a strong word for a country dance with your siblings.
But it fits perfectly. He views Anthony as being completely obsessed with Kate throughout the entire series. So by the time we get to that gazebo, it isn't just a hookup. It is the release of months and months of repression. He said that for Anthony, the intense focus on Kate's pleasure in the gazebo was just a natural extension of that obsession. He wants to serve her.
And Simone actually mentioned that the conditions during filming were less than romantic.
The classic magic of television. She said that filming the argument right before the gazebo scene, the big "I am leaving for India" fight, was done on a freezing cold night shoot in the UK.
And they are in those incredibly thin period costumes.
Exactly. She said they were literally shivering between takes, but that she and Jonathan Bailey always bring it when the cameras roll. And you really can't tell. The heat between them just melts the frost.
Charithra Chandran, who plays Edwina, had a really interesting perspective on her character in this episode, because Edwina is angry. Very angry. And a lot of fans. Well, we'll get to the fan reaction. But Charithra really defended Edwina's state of mind.
She described the episode as a carnival of joy for Edwina.
Joy. That seems like a very odd word choice for someone who just got left at the altar.
But she means it in a subversive way. For the first time in her entire life, Edwina is making her own decisions. She refuses to be on board with Anthony's damage control plan. She tells him no. She tells Kate no.
So the joy she's talking about is the joy of independence.
Precisely. She's angry, yes, but that anger is the first real taste of freedom she has ever had. She is no longer just the diamond or the little sister. She is a person with a voice, and she is finally using it.
That brings us very nicely to the fan reactions, because the internet had a lot of thoughts about this episode.
Oh, the debates are fierce and wonderful.
Let's start with the big one, the gazebo, the did they or didn't they debate.
This was a massive discussion thread online. It essentially split the entire fandom right down the middle regarding how far exactly the physical intimacy went.
Okay, break down the two camps for us.
So on one side, you had Team All the Way. They cited the raw intensity of the scene, the flashbacks we get later of entangled limbs, the audible moans, and the general flush of the characters afterward. Their argument was essentially, look, this is a romance novel adaptation. They have waited 7 excruciating episodes. They are not stopping at second base.
A valid point. And the other side?
The other side was Team Manuel Laurel, or as some called them, the Technicality Squad.
Okay, let's unpack this delicately.
Their evidence was all practical. They pointed out that we never actually see trousers being unfastened. But the biggest piece of evidence they used was the timeline of the very next morning.
The horse ride.
Exactly. Kate wakes up the next morning and immediately goes on an extremely aggressive horseback ride in the pouring rain. She is jumping over hedges, galloping at full speed.
And the argument is physics, biology.
The argument is biology. Fans were arguing, with a lot of detail, that if she had just lost her virginity the night before, that particular horseback ride would be extremely uncomfortable.
See, I struggle with that theory a bit. It feels like fans trying to apply a little too much real-world logic to a romantic fantasy. Does it really matter if she rode a horse? Adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
That's a very fair point. But you have to admire the forensic level of detail the fans went into. Ultimately, though, the consensus from both sides was that it didn't really matter what specific acts occurred. What mattered was the focus of the scene.
Right.
Fans overwhelmingly praised the female gaze of the entire sequence.
It was entirely about Kate's pleasure.
Yes. It wasn't about Anthony conquering her or taking her. It was about him worshiping her. And that distinction is what made the scene land so hard for the audience, regardless of the technical specifics.
The other huge debate was about Edwina.
The great Edwina polarization.
People were so split on whether her anger was fair or not.
Very split. Side A felt her anger was completely and totally justified. She was treated like a child. She was betrayed by the two people she trusted most in the world, her sister and her fiancé. She was the very last to know in a room full of people who already knew.
Which is deeply humiliating.
Yeah.
Being the last to know is one of the worst feelings.
It's awful. But Side B felt she overreacted. They were arguing for what they called the noble idiot defense of Kate.
Meaning?
That Kate had sacrificed everything, her youth, her dowry, her entire future, for Edwina's sake. So for Edwina to turn around and call Kate cruel and selfish felt deeply ungrateful to that segment of the audience. They wanted her to see the good intentions behind the disastrous outcome.
It's so complex, and I think that just speaks to how good the writing is. Both sides have a valid point. Edwina is a victim, but Kate is a martyr who made a terrible, terrible mess.
Exactly. It's not black and white at all.
Fans also love spotting the smaller details. We have to mention the bangles.
Yes, Kate's green bangles. In many Indian cultures, glass bangles are a symbol of marriage or engagement. Fans immediately noted that Kate wearing green bangles, green being a color often associated with fertility and new life, suggested that she was always the true bride in spirit from the very beginning.
And Anthony's grooming, or lack thereof.
We talked about the shun from the ton. Fans noticed that Anthony appeared unshaven in several parts of this episode.
Which, for the meticulous feast count,
is a massive sign of a breakdown. This is a man who is always perfectly put together. If he has stubble, it means he has lost control. It's a very clever visual cue that the mask of the Viscount is slipping.
So what does this all mean? When we look at harmony as a whole, what is the big thematic question it's asking?
I think the central emotional question this episode poses is, what is the true cost of harmony?
Because they spend the entire episode desperately trying to find it, to manufacture it.
Exactly. They try to force it, the promenade, the ball. These are all attempts to force a narrative of harmony onto a deeply discordant situation. And the episode argues, pretty conclusively, that a harmony built on lies is hollow. It will always crack under pressure.
The Bridgertons tried to project this image of unity, but it just fractured them further internally.
And look at Penelope. She sacrifices Eloise's reputation, her best friend's good name, to save her from the queen's wrath. That is a complete perversion of harmony. She destroys an individual person to save the collective safety of the Bridgerton family.
It's silence versus truth.
That's the core conflict. The episode ends with Kate unconscious in the rain. Anthony is screaming her name. The families are pariahs.
It is not a happy ending by any stretch.
No. But it leaves us with the powerful realization that pursuing one's own truth, in this case, Anthony and Kate choosing their love, inevitably requires the destruction of the social world they inhabit.
You can't have the truth and the approval of the ton at the same time. You have to choose.
Harmony isn't the absence of conflict. It's the courage to face it, even if it means standing alone in an empty ballroom.
And even if it means falling off a horse in the pouring rain.
Well, let's hope the recovery is a swift one.
That cliffhanger, though. Anthony, watching the woman he loves, the woman he just finally connected with in the gazebo lying motionless on the ground.
It raises the stakes for the finale to an absolute fever pitch. It's no longer just, will they kiss or will they get together? It's, will she survive? And if she does, can they ever possibly come back from this ruin?
A perfect heart-stopping setup. Thanks for listening to Pink Blade. If this episode revealed something new, you can follow to explore the next chapter. And if a moment stayed with you, share it in the comments. Until next time, this is Pink Blade.